Sometimes it's good to just talk. I've had family members mad at me because they say that I bring up what happened too much. And they said it's making them look bad on social media sites because their friends are always asking them if I'm okay. No, I'm not okay. I'm not allowed to have feelings. I'm not allowed to have trauma. I'm not allowed to do anything that would concern caring, loving, compassion. I'm not allowed to have any of that. At least that's what they're portraying. Okay? Now, if I would have never said anything and started making the videos I made on TikTok, I would know. First off, if I would have never prayed as hard as I did and as hard as I still do for God to show me what was going on, for this universe, this world to show me what was happening, and then getting this far with it. Like, okay, so if I would have never said anything on TikTok, them arguments wouldn't have happened with certain people telling me to leave their name out of my problems, which I've never said any names on TikTok. So first off, they gave themselves away there by saying that, because I knew that they were referring to Facebook, where I said a few names. What they're not going to do, though, what they tried doing, this is a bigger part of this, I bet. Telling their friends, because they're in law enforcement, I get it. You don't have to lie, though. Telling your friends that I tried to kidnap my kid? I see how they got where they got with me. They waited till I was on drugs. They saw my downfall. They figured that was the perfect time to pull the trigger. Let's get them. Let's get them now. More than one person was involved in this. That's a conspiracy. They conspired to take me out. But since they're law enforcement, everything they did should be legal, right? Wrong. The same time they're arguing with me on TikTok about leave their name out of it. And I said I would. And I still haven't said any names to this day, except for that one time back in 2023 on my mother's birthday on Facebook, I did say a few names. But I told them, I'll leave your name out of it. The data speaks for itself. What happens? What happens is, I get apps on my phone that don't belong there. I can't get them to go away. But once I get down like 50, 75 apps, they're all stacked on top of each other. Once I got to the bottom was my Microsoft Drive. Inside that Microsoft Drive was documents that they were going to show a judge and say that it was mine. The email that they used, 15 years plus old. They held on to that email to try to reference to me, but that's been their email. It was mine. It was mine. 15 years ago, maybe 2009, 2010. But I grew out of the juggalo thing. I grew out of that stuff. That's where they messed up too. Because not only that happens, but then I start getting interrogated about being in a gang. What? Alright. That's where they messed up. So the email I find in my PlayStation, and they hacked my PlayStation, they hacked my Google account horribly. Facebook Messenger, the Newsbreak app. These are all, I wouldn't know what I know unless I seen it happen. I could make this shit up if I wanted to. So I make the stuff on TikTok. They start telling me to leave them alone. Like that night or the next night, I find all these new apps on my phone. And then when I remove them, I find the documents in the bottom in my Microsoft Drive, which was mine. The only reason they got the code to get into that, though, was acting like they were my stepdaughter. When me and her mom split up, messaging me on Messenger and saying, hey, Dad, can I get the code from Microsoft so I can play my games? Sure, of course, she was using my email. A whole different one, though, not the one that we're talking about here. Not the first one. That was Mr. Juggalotus 1979. That hasn't been mine in 15 years. But the new one, the one that I used for her, she messaged me and asked me on Facebook Messenger, worst app ever. She says, hey, Dad, can I play my game? Can I get the code they send you? And dumb me, thinking that it's my stepkid. Of course, honey. They put them documents in my Microsoft Drive. So that was mine, right? I admit to that. But they put them in there. I wouldn't even know about it. I wouldn't bring it up if I had something to do with what they were talking about because I was blown away by it myself. So the documents just stated some stupid stuff about, they were going to use it in reference to I must hate my country. So I see all that stuff on TikTok. I find the apps. I get them away. And then I find the email in my PlayStation account next to my gamer tag is a new one. Where'd that come from? And that's when it hit me. Wow, that's what they really did. They held on to an email of mine to wait for their moment so they could attack me. They waited till I was at my lowest point in life and came after me. They lied. They lied to get an investigation by the FBI, mind you, started, saying that I was the vice president of a motorcycle club. Now look, that was false. They knew it was false. They knew he was the guy who made the post in 2016. We're in 2020 now when all this happened, 2021. He made that post high as shit, puts me as his vice president, but nothing ever came of it. Nothing at all ever came of it. Except for closer to the end of the investigation when the biker club moves into town and they try getting him to join it. That's when I thought something was really off. You're on a terrorist watch list for being in prison 18 years of my life. You're not allowed to have or be involved in any gang stuff, but they're trying to get you to prospect for a biker club that you was with many years ago. You don't think that's a little fishy? You don't think that's funny? Then I find the email, and that's when it dawned on me on who it really was that started this and had this going. And that's heartbreaking. They really thought taking me out was their best option, whether it be in prison or dead. And that's the sad part about when I say dead, because that was literally what they were going to do. The overdose call goes out. My so-called dad, the one I call dad, makes the call. Before that, though, on Facebook, I had called out a few names. And I said that they were setting people up illegally, I thought. You know, that's what I was getting. I was thinking that, so I posted about it. I posted their names, actually. 5 months go by, and that overdose call goes out. I think his phone was still tapped by the FBI at this time, too. Because the only people that show up at the house when the overdose call goes out are the two people that I called out by name on Facebook. They had no reason to be there unless they were going to try to save someone's life. Their plan was, oh, that's him. They thought it was me overdosing. We'll just let him die. Why do I say that? Because they let the guy who overdosed actually die. They literally stood there and did nothing, knowing they had Narcan in their car. They could have gave it to me if they didn't want to touch him. I would have done it gladly. But while I'm asking them, can they help my friend, they're just standing there. Because I knew it dawned on them once they got there that, oh shit, that's not him overdosing, what do we do now? Then the conversation must have been, well, let that guy die, because then it'll be on him, because he's here, he must have had something to do with it. Wrong again! I had videos in my phone of me saving that man's life twice already with Narcan. So that day I didn't have any. So the 911 call goes out, I'm working on them, they show up. The only thing they cared about was a urine off of me. They wanted a urine from me so they could say I was dirty and take me to jail. I give them fake urine. And I'll admit to that, because after that, when I got out and I was clean, I never gave them one dirty one and they were all righteous. But this day, and a time or two before, I went over to the sink because she goes in the other room and leaves me with the cop writing the statement. So while he's writing the statement, I simply turn the water on to warm. Lemon juice is right there. I put water in it and I just put like 2 drops of lemon juice in it. While he's standing 10 feet away from me at most. But he wasn't paying attention because as I'm talking to him, I'm doing my thing over here. He's staring, he's writing, you know. I remember that person coming in the room so many times, that probation officer, to get the urine off me. He even at one point says, what the fuck is wrong with that bitch? I'm like, I don't know, but obviously she wants a piss for me. But that was how they tried to, that's how they work. So she gets the urine, she looks at it, she says, it's light, but I'm going to go with it. I'm thinking, what's light? But, you know, this was definitely a conspiracy to take me out. There's so much more involved. So, my son's mother, right? I get a message from her one day. And this is how I knew that she had teamed up with them somehow. She messages me and says, you want to see the kids? Yes, I actually have gifts for them. Okay, come on, come over. So I walk over about 2 miles, and as I'm getting there, she says, message me when you're close. So I do. Now, I lived in this house for 3 years. I was being as respectful as I could for all this, right? She messages me and says, come to the garage, don't go to the house, meet me in the garage. Okay, that was the setup right there. So I get in the garage, and the big doors opened up where the car is, and then the side door that you go out at, she's standing there, and as soon as I walk in, she shuts it, but she doesn't shut the big door. She messaged me also right before this and says, we're fighting when you get here. You're not seeing the kids, we're fighting. When I walk in, she has like a bodysuit on, like a workout suit. She's in my face, saying all kinds of dear racist stuff, weird stuff, trying to get me mad. It didn't work, though. I just wanted to see the kids, right? So, I tell her, I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. I saw her go over and stop recording on her phone because she was trying to get it recorded that I touched her, right? So, I'm like, I just want to see the kids. So, I go back out the big door. But when I do, up on the hill are 2 people with their phones out videotaping me. They were trying to set me up with the stuff she was saying to me in the garage that day. They were trying to get me to put my hands on her. She was too. She was being so damn ignorant. But I go out and I go in to see the kids, right? The kids all running to me, Dad, Dad, Dad. I'm holding my son, I'm holding my stepdaughter. And she comes walking down. She's on the phone with the cops already. She invited me over. It's all in text message, right? So the cops, there's a bucket of water. Like a bucket, like this. And it's got a tiny bit of rainwater in it, right? I throw it. I'm like, you need to go wash your dirties. I was mad, But she had cheated on me for a year behind my back. So I threw water on her. As soon as it hits her, she looks right at me and goes, I bet that's a charge. What? You were setting me up. You even invited me over to set me up. What? So that it gets even better. The court hearing comes up for that harassment charge because I alarmed her by throwing water on her. There's so many people in this courtroom that day. I thought I recognized 1 or 2, but we won't say anything about that yet. So, did he throw water on you? Yes. I start talking. I said, look, if you check the text messages, though, she was threatening me to fight me. She was coming after me first. I didn't put my hands on her. I threw water at her. Okay, well, that's enough. You're getting charged. Harassment. 6 months. You can't go to the house or make any contact or you'll go to jail. That was their plan. As soon as me and her split up and I went to my dad's, I got blocked by every single person that was connected to me and her. Her mother, her aunt's wife, her son, her daughter. Anybody I had a phone number to, I would call it and I was blocked completely. And I'm like, why? Well, because the setup was they would get in my phone and take it over and not let me contact any of these people. That I could say, hey, what's going on to you? Like her mother or her aunt, like what's going on here? Why won't she let me see the kids? Why did she make this happen? So, I walked off that 6 months probation, no problem. But that was their starting point right there. That was when things started happening. Then that overdose call goes out. Them 2 just show up, and they're just standing by the car, not getting any Narcan out. Everybody and their mother knows that they had Narcan in their car because they're probation officers in the middle of a pandemic. The heroin and Corona was all at the same time in our area. It was all happening at once. But they don't come to help. They came to take me out because I called them out on Facebook. They thought the best bet would be to show up from the overdose call and let me die. So even so, though, they still wait for it to call the ambulance because obviously that wasn't 911. The ambulance company is 5 blocks this way and 3 blocks that way. There's no reason. It's been 15 minutes and no one's here yet except you 2. You know how bad this stuff bothers me when I really have to think. I think about it. Like, so if Facebook didn't exist, none of this would even happen. That's where the post went out, was on Facebook, and that's where I met the guy that died on Facebook. And then you say, well, you might have met him. No, you set up everybody that I met, though. You were in everybody's phone that I had contact with. That has to be illegal. And then we'll go to the methadone clinic. While they're tracking me, no, let's go to the day I got baptized. I go in, I'm dating, because I didn't know it was a setup yet. The girl I'm dating is an FBI informant agent. Why do you think the memo went out to the FBI saying, is it okay if we put informants in Catholic churches with extremists? Because I wanted to get baptized and be closer to God, I'm an extremist now? I didn't know this till later, guys. I didn't know that part until I started watching what Chris Gray was talking about. Oh, well, the people who put that memo out, they're religious as well. That don't matter. First off, they were lying. They were lying about it all. Everything. Anything that made me an extremist, they were lying about. They used every tool they could, too. So when Corona happened, I'm leaving the bakery I'm working for. He was on a domestic terrorist watch list for saying he was going to blow up a church years before this. I didn't know any of that. I didn't know that. And you got my dad on the terrorist watch list who's saying he's starting a biker club and I'm his vice president. He was a crackhead with a broke down motorcycle. But they knew all of this. They knew it was all fabricated. It was all a lie. But they were going to try their damnedest to make it work. And boy, did they ever. So my phone was somehow attached to that informant's paperwork somehow. In there was the file of her court hearing showing that she was in a deposition. This was deposition. And as soon as I started reading it on my phone, I got a screenshot real quick, but then the screen started shaking really fast. That meant somebody on the other side was watching what I was doing and started shaking the screen so I couldn't read that they had me in the middle of this setup. Then, every day I'd go to the methadone clinic when I was still going there. I'd have my phone on me. I'd go in, and she would be there. Now, I had to walk like 2 blocks to get there, but she would be there. Every day, this girl that I was dating that was an FBI informant would be there. But then I would leave my phone at the house just to test. And she wouldn't be there. But when I got there, you know what would happen? There was this broke down bitch out in the parking lot in a wheelchair that made a phone call, and she showed up before I got out the door and was like, hey, I just wanted to say hi. Why? You told me you didn't want to be around me at all. You're pregnant with my child, supposedly, which you went and aborted. Suppose all that was a lie. And then you tell me you don't want to see me ever again, but all of a sudden you want to say hi to me at the methadone clinic every day that I'm there? But if I don't bring my phone, you're not there. That let me know that they were tracking me. They messed up in so many spots here. So then my counselor at the methadone clinic tells me face to face, dude, you need to get as far away from her as you can. Trust me when I tell you. So he knew something was going on. They were testing my urine at the methadone clinic. They were testing it, and everybody's, but whoever was hot for certain drugs, they would follow that person to get to the dealer. And I don't disagree with that, but I know there's laws against that type of shit. You shouldn't be able to do that. They're on the hush-hush with it, though. You know what's funny, too? As soon as I start making these types of videos and talking about that methadone clinic, tell me it isn't shutting down. Along with the Suboxone clinic is shutting down now, too. Where I said that I was getting a urine test from a different person every week. I wonder if they want to hide paperwork from the things they were doing. So, my whole point is, everything that they tried making this investigation out of was just a blatant lie. And they knew it. They knew it. All of them involved set up and said, you know what? We got this investigation going on in town right now. Let's throw him in and see if we can't take him out too. Oh! He called us out on Facebook. What do we do now? Maybe we'll get lucky and he'll overdose. Oh, we just got a call from 911. It's at his house. Let's go. Let's do this. They showed up to kill me. They showed up, and you can't change that. So not only that, though, but then the email goes back to 15 years ago, the people I was involved with, they're in law enforcement. They held on to that email all them years. And I don't care to say it 1,000 times because it wasn't mine. It was mine many years ago. But when I left a certain situation, that email got left behind, probably on a computer or something. And that's how they connected it to me. That's how they tried to make it look like it was. Obviously, it's done something to me. Obviously. I don't even check my messages in Facebook Messenger, TikTok, anywhere that I get messages. I don't open them because I'm afraid that someone is just going to be an agent trying to watch me again. I shouldn't have to live like that, walking on eggshells for every little thing I do, because if I step out of line a little bit and I'm not the perfect little good boy, well, God knows big bitch brothers out there watching me through my phone all the time, and, oh, look, guys, look what he's doing. Oh, we got him, let's go. He's all strung out on drugs, overdosing left and right. Let's watch that happen. How many times I woke up from an overdose with a rig still in my arm, wondering how I'm still there, knowing nobody's going to save me but me, while my phone's sitting right there on, videotaping me. They were watching me, hoping I would pass on. And that's, you know what's really sad there is how much they had to have lied to the kids about me. They really thought that they could just say what they wanted about me and then I would just go away. And their lies would become truth to them. It didn't, God, no. And you know what else I'm glad about? I'm glad that I see it the way that I did. It was right for me. Because years ago, the people I was involved with, when I left them, I got on drugs. I messed up. I shouldn't have. It was a bad decision for me to even start doing what I was doing, but I got into a depressive state because the people I was involved with at the time I wasn't good enough. And they didn't understand the struggle that I was going through. So I leave the situation, and then all of a sudden now they're involved with cops and attorneys, and any little thing I do, they're watching me for, waiting for a moment. Now that I know that, though, you know how crazy and messed up that would be for the other reality to be a whole different way, and I'm in that relationship still. That messes with my head a lot, because I would literally be sitting at a table for dinner with a bunch of people who I wouldn't know at the time, but if I had messed up, would drop me so fucking fast and then make it look like I'm an evil, bad, horrible person. That's what breaks me the most, is they wanted me to look so bad because of my addiction. They didn't care. And look, I have nobody. I literally have nobody. I made it that way, though, to be safe. When I got off all the drugs, I come home to my cat, my birds, and my lizards, and my TV. That's it. I don't have nobody. They knew that, though. And they thought the best thing would be to take me out so that they could tell my kids whatever they wanted about me, and I couldn't stick up for it. That hurts me the most, that they've lied to the children. None of my kids have ever seen me in my addiction, thank God. None of my kids were ever created while I was on heavy drugs. Well, my first one maybe. Thank God, though. But for me to know the bond that I have with my children, and to now know that it's been tainted because of what they wanted to happen, breaks my heart. It doesn't make me give up, though. I won't give up. God showed me this for a reason. God let this universe let me see what was happening with my Facebook and with my phone for a reason. But it woke me up too. It woke me up to see that even when I'm alone, I'm not alone. There's always someone there. At any time. They have tools to get in your phone and just watch you. And we live like that carelessly so much. But knowing what I know about the email for 15 plus years that they had, God knows how long they've been tagging along with me and watching every little thing I do and waiting for the worst possible case scenario to happen to me to say, let's go. He's using drugs again, serves him right, let's go get him. I had to see that, though. Yeah. Alright. I'll keep making videos. Don't worry about it. I told you I got the craziest story ever told. We haven't even started yet.